Hello everyone, welcome to my 13th edition for this week, and for this edition I will answer two questions from Mrs. Pratt. First question is how to use version control system to track Selenium scripts configuration project files. So I simplified the question down because it was, I think, too long. Second question is how to revert and compare earlier versions while also minimizing disruption to the workflows. Alright, so without further ado, let's go into straight into the topic. So first of all, what and why should we use version control system to track the Selenium file? So if you don't know version control system, it is a system that helps us control and manage our files. And using it, it can also be used in Selenium too. Mainly it is used like in coding, like programming, for example, Python, JavaScript, HTML, things like that for web development or app development. But it's always for anyone. It just involves you having Git, download Git, and then you can just commit anything to the platform. So version control system, as I said in my edition, it operates on mainly it is what about it track and revert. Track, revert, track, revert. So you can also see history. So mainly version control system is designed to track. And so the first question is pretty easy. How can we use Git to track it? So I will show you the steps on how we can use it too. So first of all, is you need to initialize a repository. Initialize. If you don't know what a repository is, it's like the file, a project files. So using a platform like GitHub or GitLab, you can create more repositories. So it's like your files that store your project is a repository. So initialize repository. This means you will create a repository. So run git init. So this requires you to install Git. Install Git on your computer. And so when you install Git, then only can you use Git init. Second step is add your files. This is where we can track our files. We track our files by using git add. And remember the dot at the end. The dot at the end said that add everything that you have changed to your repository. So git add dot, not git add only, git add dot. So in doing this, you will see what has changed. The project files, the scripts, the config files, and things like that. Everything that you have changed in your code, you can track it. So this is the second step. Now, this is optional, but you can commit the changes. Commit meaning 2M. Commit your changes. Commit changes means save your changes on the platform. So you can commit it with a message. And you have to commit it with a message or not. It is optional. So you commit your changes, meaning you save your files somewhere. Mainly this is commit your changes to GitHub or GitLab. GitHub is the more popular option. Fourth step is push to remote. This is also optional. So after you commit your changes, you can push it, meaning you push it to the GitHub repository or GitLab. So when you have committed, you may be mistaken here. Tell me, is it that commit changes will be done all? No, not really. When you commit the changes, it is only saved. You cannot see the files yet. Only when you push the file, then you can see it in GitHub, and you can see everything that you see in your code. You can see it as files on on the GitHub repository. So you use git push. This you use git commit. and git commit with M or for message, and then you say your message in these double quotes. And then you git push. Before you git push, however, you need to state your origin. If you want to push to the remote, if you want to push it to GitHub, then there's an origin to your origin to your GitHub. HTTPS / anything. I don't know. I don't have a clear every repository has a different origin. So yeah, that is how you can commit. You can track the files, then you can commit, and then you can push it to GitHub for better management. Next question, moving on, is how can we revert back and see the history? This is more tricky for me because I haven't reverted back. I haven't done any big mistakes so that I need to revert. I just save it. If there's a mistake, I have a program that will detect any mistake, and then when I don't have any mistake and it runs fine, only then will I commit the changes. So we save the changes. So I haven't reverted back to any history because I only work alone. I don't work with other team members, so I don't see how and what is. And I don't see the point of reverting back if I only work alone. But it is very important to be able to revert back the history when you're working with a team member, because your team member is not perfect. He may have some mistakes, and then you spot it, you need to revert and back to the changes, or your code or your program will crash. So, first of all, revert. First step, so compare the versions. Use git diff for difficult, diff for different, to see changes. All right. So use git only one T. Sorry about that. Use git diff. You can see the log of your files. You can see the different changes of your files. You can view the history. This is where you can view the history. When was it committed? When was it saved? When was this pushed to the GitHub repository? So compare the versions. Second, revert the changes. Revert changes. Use git checkout. And then inside you have your ID and close the bracket, the arrow. To view an older version. So git checkout is to view an older version, or git revert. This is for reverting. Is git revert ID. Your ID, I don't know what ID it is, so I will put it as ID. So that is how you revert it. Then this will not break the history. Okay, this will not delete any history if you only revert back to the last change. So for example, if you have a timeline like this, this is the first commit. Just say first for short, simplified. It works. Then your second commit. This is a commit made by your employee or your partner. It doesn't work. And then third commit. It doesn't work. And then when you check back, you see that why third commit doesn't work. And you revert back to the changes, you see the second commit doesn't work. You also revert back to the first commit as soon as possible so your code doesn't crash. If you deploy it, there are high chances that your platform will crash if you don't revert back to the changes. So this works, and then you fix the error, and now it works. And then you can revert back to this change, and then you fix this work, and now you can revert back. As easy as that. So that is reverting the changes. Next, branching. So I have already explained the concept branching before. You have the main branch here, you branch out, have a project here. When you have a small project here, a small, maybe like, let's start in automation. You make a robot, and this is the movement of the robot. This movement of robot, not the hands. What is this called? Don't remember the vocabulary for it, but it allows the robot to move. So you are making that small things, and this will make the movement of the fingers of the robot. And so when it's done, implement it back, just like that, back to the main branch, and now you have a complete robot. It is not as simple as that too, because people work in different programs. So when you commit back to the main branch, it may have some errors, and you need to fix the errors first. So you can use to test branching, you can use to test features. So for example, if you want to make a big change to your code, but you don't want to change the main code because what if you make some mistakes, some errors? And so you branch out, you try, you test, you try, you experiment, and so that is what branching allows you to do. So you keep the main workflow stable. You merge with git merge when you merge. Branching is git branch, and merging back together is git merge. Alright, so I think that is all very simple thing about what version control system, mainly Git, what Git allow us to do. Git is a version control system, and we can use GitLab or GitHub. I much prefer GitHub because it is more user friendly and it looks cool. So that I think is all about my 30th edition for this week. I did answer about how we can use version control system to track Selenium scripts, configuration, and project files. Then I talked about how to revert and compare earlier versions while minimizing disruption using reverts and using branching. So I think that will be all for my 30th edition for this week. Thank you for listening and see you next time.